This is Mission Qualfon, a monthly podcast that takes you inside the workings of our company, but not just the ins and outs of business. We look at the ideas and insights that make Qualfon truly unique. As a company, we are committed to being the best and making each person's life better. Join us as we get to know and learn from people from across the organization. What's their story? What have they learned? And how do they live out Qualfon's mission? Welcome to Mission Qualfon.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Mission Qualfon podcast. Hello, Jeremy.
Hi, Marisol. We're back at it for another episode.
Thankfully, we have a guest this episode. We did our solo. We do a one-on-one each season, I guess, and we did that last episode, which I actually have to mention something about that episode. We talked about total vocation. That was, I believe, the title of the episode. But we talked about one of the programs that you're in charge of, the Stairway program. And I think we mentioned that it's been in production for 3 years or something to that effect. But actually, it's longer. It's close to 7 years. And Stairway, the way I describe it, is it's an educational program to help a person with self-development tools. You take a lot of quizzes. It's a lot of content. The way I like to describe that, I used to pay a lot of money to coaches and retreats and things of that nature to try to learn more about myself. And here at Qualfon, they offer it as part of your job.
Yeah.
And I think congratulations are in order.
Well, okay. So I have a new job title, and it didn't really change what I'm doing really, but it just, sometimes we've talked about this before. Sometimes our roles kind of morph over time. And so I have a new job title. I don't think I know I haven't updated my email signatures yet, so I'll do that as soon as we're done. But it ties in very much with what you just said about Stairway. So my new job title is Senior Manager, Leadership and Total Vocation Programs. Now, you mentioned Stairway, and Stairway is one of several programs that we have geared toward helping employees pursue their total vocation. And I don't want to share that just to, share my new job title, but just so folks understand, we actually have, my title, we have a manager over total vocation programs, and that's awesome. Stairway is one of those. Mentorship by Choice is one of those. Even our Qualfon University, like our Leadership Academy programs, those are all programs designed to help employees, to help anyone pursue their total vocation. And so I just think that was neat. I thought my new job title really reflected what we're doing as a company. And that's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that's a perfect time to introduce our guest, because thankfully we do have a guest. And he comes from the beautiful country of Guyana, which I've yet to go to, but I'm still hoping will happen soon. He has been with the company for a few years. He's a supervisor from Guyana, and his name is Edward London. And I'd like to welcome him to the Mission Qualfon podcast. Welcome, Edward.
Good day, Marisol and Jeremy. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity of going into this week of the session. And I'm looking forward to what we will discuss and a few ideas that I have pertaining to our leadership and everything.
Great. And no pressure, Edward, but I just want you to know you are the first supervisor appearing on the podcast.
To be honest, I'm used to public speaking, so I'm not nervous at all.
Good. This is a historic occasion, so that's great. That's good.
Okay, I have so many thoughts about the supervisor role, and I want to start with this question. I want to start with this question, Edward. So you've been with the company for 7 years, and you've been a supervisor for approximately around two years. And so I want to know from you, tell us about showing up at Qualfon, your experience, and what do you wish, like you could say to every associate agent across the globe about their job and their role, and maybe how we do it differently here at Qualfon?
What can I say? Every day is a challenge pertaining to work, life, generally speaking. But Qualfon as a whole, that incorporates itself into a diversified area where you can be yourself most of the time. And this is where your stepping stone starts with in leadership, qualities of you integrating into different criteria in the company. And I could say it's a good journey for anyone who wants to start off meeting new people, networking, that is essential. And you meet a lot of people that you never experienced that this would have been this kind of opportunity you were getting in the first place. So it's a lot of growth, and being a leader, it brings a lot of fruition into your prospect of your circle, your team, your managers, your directors, and stuff like that. It all connects for everyone in a different way, from the representatives to the quality analysts to supervisors, managers, project leaders, and stuff like that. Everyone is connected in some way that we all need to work together in order to achieve our common goal at the end of the day. So it's a team effort, I would say. It's not all on one person. We all have to play a role, play a part in making sure that this company is striving the way it is.
Okay, now I'm going to put Jeremy on the line here. So we have something, and this might be common in the industry. I don't know. It wasn't common when I was a supervisor. Jeremy, you're in charge of the supervisor training, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That we go through. Yep. So tell us, I'm putting Qualfon on the spot now. I'm fascinated by this concept of supervisor training, because when I became a supervisor, I remember that it was many, many moons ago, but I remember this like it was yesterday. No training. It was just from the floor. The next day, I had my own team and a clipboard. That was it. Right. That was my supervisor training. And I'm just really curious, what tools, how do we help you do your job? What are the tools that we've provided that you feel have been successful for you?
I think having our team that helps us in a way that we are able to effectively do our work properly. And I remember when I started off in the leadership role, I've picked up a few things from Jeremy when he was in Guyana, and his supervisor academy sessions that he had. It had some good morals with time management and being an effective leader, good leadership and stuff like that. It all embodies into what I'm doing today. So the team in particular, having a team that you need to manage and stuff like that, they pretty much reflect on you and vice versa. And I think that working here, it brings a lot of togetherness. It's not only about work and stuff like that, but it eventually becomes like a family. And when it becomes like a family, you tend to grow from there, both professionally and personally as well.
And Marisol, let me just hop in here for some context. Okay. One of the challenges that we have in our world, and by the way, Marisol, no one uses clipboards anymore. I'm just going to throw that out there. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. But one of the challenges we have in a company like Qualfon with 16,000 employees, we have hundreds of different accounts, and it varies from account to account, right? So there are specific things if you're in one account that you'd want your supervisors to know in terms of process or the way they might do certain things, or even certain philosophies within that account. So one of the challenges we have is, what can we provide foundationally that would be beneficial to every new supervisor across the company, knowing that they're going to go to different accounts and they're going to use different systems, they're going to use follow different processes. So that's one of the challenges. We want a base level foundational leadership training that goes to everyone. So Edward, has been through those training classes. It's transitioned over the recent years. Now it's mostly online, but Edward was one of those that suffered through face-to-face training with me, right? But what we strive for is a base level foundation. And from there, and this is what I appreciated about Edward when he mentioned that one of the tools he had to help him was his team. Once you finish that foundational training, you're not done, right? Because then you've still got to learn the specifics in my account. So this idea of training, we think of training as a department, right? Well, training isn't really a department because everyone's a trainer. Once Edward stepped out of that leadership training, well, then he just got more training within his specific account, and he continues to get training, and he continues to train people within his account. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that we do have a uniform foundational leadership training, mostly soft skills, right? Because again, systems training, it could vary from account to account. So we can't necessarily train everyone on the same system. So it's about leadership. It's about communications. It's about coaching. It's about the fundamentals of leadership that you're going to need regardless of the account that you're in. But that learning never stops. Hopefully it never stops. Edward, I'm sure, can speak to that as well. I did want to ask Edward, though. You were here as an agent for, gosh, it sounds like a few years before you moved into leadership. What made you want to move into a leadership role?
Well, Jeremy, good question. I remember vividly throughout the years of being a customer service representative. And one of the things that me and my work colleague used to strive for is to be in leadership. And one of the things that we would aspire to do was be a supervisor. One of the things where it's a start off to the roadblock of up the company, up the food chain, whatever you want to call it. But I remember vividly that we used to literally be competitive in our interviews and stuff like that in order to land that dream job, which is being a supervisor. And although we didn't get through right away for the past few years and stuff, that the persistence never died. The fire, it never died really for that brief period. And I remember back in 2019, and I was still a representative back then. And normally I used to be the guinea pig, to be interchanged into different LOBs to try out as a test. So I was pretty much cool about that because I like to try new things and I like to learn new things as well. So I was always confident in doing something new. And I remember vividly that I started off as an acting trainer. Now that you mentioned me doing training and stuff, I still have those techniques. Every now and then I would do some training sessions on my end with my team. But I started off as an acting trainer. And then when the position was open for a supervisor, I took up that opportunity and pretty much led the way for where I am today. And I'm very confident and thankful for that opportunity back then. And it integrated me into doing something more that I wanted, which was to aspire, to grow, to influence. And your success is pretty much garnered or measured by your influence. And I really wanted to showcase my techniques, the ideas that I had before me and stuff like that I need to use in leadership. And I wanted to instill that in the team that I wanted to grow with. And it's been an amazing journey so far doing that. And I look forward to more to come in that retrospect.
How is the supervisor role, now that you've done it for a couple years, How is it different than what you expected it would be? Or is it? Or is maybe it's just what you expected, but were there any surprises? What have the surprises been in your role as a supervisor?
I would say the surprises were listening to agents, the customer service representatives that I need to manage on a daily basis, listening to them about their concerns and stuff like that, how they do their work, and knowing that how they feel personally and stuff is how they would execute on a day on a job. And I normally tell them that whatever is going on around you, just make sure that you take care of the personal stuff, so that when you come to work, you are refreshed, renewed, and everything. Take your weekends lightly, relax and stuff like that. So when you are ready for work, you are renewed and refreshed and stuff. And the things that have changed so far, I believe it's the work from home process. I'm still getting used to working from home and stuff with my team, and they are enjoying that option for them. Most persons don't have that, and they're very fortunate. I tell them most times that this is a very, very good option for you, and take it as a way of it's good that you're having this opportunity to work from home and still have a good job, right? That you're dedicated to on a daily basis. So I believe that's one of the changes, that working from home, the interchanging of remote work, and keeping in contact with on-site managers and stuff like that. It's been a good journey so far, but I believe there is a lot more, improvements that are needed pertaining to the connection and stuff like that, remote work and so forth. And I do hope that there is more opportunity for growth for persons to continue working from home, because it not only safeguards persons from the COVID outbreak, but also it's cost effective, in whereby the company saves as well as the person work from home, they save as well.
How's it been different for you leading folks? Now, is your whole team working at home, or is it just some of them, or how is that? How does that work?
I would say about 99%.
Okay.
So let's put
you're on site. So. You're on site, or do you work from home also?
I work from home as well.
Okay. And have you been a supervisor since COVID started? So have you always led an at-home team, or did you start out managing a traditional team at the site?
Traditional team would have started from at the site.
And what did you have to do differently when you made that transition from managing an on-site team to a work-at-home team?
Emphasis were placed more on agents that were working from home than the agents that were working on site, because I can see them on a daily basis, right? However, the persons that were working from home, we had to monitor them more, because if they need assistance, it would have been more difficult to help them once they're working from home than if they're on site, where I'm right there to assist. So it's the back and forth conversations, chatting and stuff like that. Communication was very much important, and anything that's happening at home, I needed to know right away in order for me to say what next that needs to be done, what's the next avenue, what's the next options that are in here, so that we can prepare for the outcome as to what's at hand. So the transition from working on site to working from home, it was really tough for a few persons. However, now that we've gotten accustomed to the work life of working remotely, it's getting there. It's getting better, but there were some challenges there at first with the communication and trying to assist persons who needed the attention at the end of the day, especially new agents who are just starting out that are on site that'll need to take the focus on. But for the tenure folks, we allow them to work at home during that period.
I remember one of the biggest challenges I had as supervisor was it was a sales account, and I remember, just the pressure of those numbers, but keeping that energy up and excitement. And said, how does that work remotely?
How does that work remotely?
You refer to knowing what's going on with them. I know where our company is very, I think it's one of our our questions on the You Matter with Mike survey, we're really taught as leaders at this company to constantly, from as simple as saying hello, how are you, but genuinely meaning it and checking in with people and just kind of knowing that we're here as a support system if you need it. What has to happen now more, like it's more one-on-one, or I'm just making that up. I'm asking because I'm genuinely interested. Like, how does that communication change from on-site to work from home?
The transition, I would say, from on-site to work from home with motivating my reps and stuff, my team, I had to learn a few things, which was emotional intelligence. Now, a lot of persons don't talk about this a lot, and it needs to be prevalent in our society, in our work life, in our work environment. And emotional intelligence come into play whereby we need to be understanding towards life situations and stuff like that, and to create a safe space whereby our reps can reach out to us and let us know that this is what's going on and stuff like that. And we try our best to motivate them as much as possible. And that comes into play with our Care at Work initiative with the mission team. And now, if you're not aware, I do strive and advocate for mental health awareness. And I do listen to my agents a lot. And most times I do sense a change in their work, their job, their tasks that they have to do and so forth. They would let me know that if they do not feel motivated, I will find some way to nature in the fact that, hey, it's a different day. I understand the feeling that every day you will feel to be motivated to do the necessary job description and stuff like that. But bear in mind that we are all here for you, and whatever it is, we will be more than happy to listen in and give advice on how best we can continue on from there. But I strive on Care at Work. I like the initiative. I've had a few sessions with the chaplain on site here at Guyana, and those were really good sessions that I had. And it embodies us in a way that we don't necessarily have to keep everything bottled up in that is going to make us feel less motivated or feel down and stuff like that. But we have our mentors, or I should say our buddy system you call it, whereby we cater for each other, where we need to make sure that everyone is taken care of, the well-being of the workforce. And I like that system. It encompasses what Qualfon is, incorporates what Qualfon is, the Care at Work initiative. And every now and then, I do have my reps reaching out to me. However, they are the best at what they do, and I'm very much happy for the team that I have. They pretty much lively up the entire team in their own way. If it's pertaining to ideas, for what to work wise, to difference in training, they give me ideas. It's not only coming from me, but they pretty much work well together. And if it is that in any cases whereby there is any new ideas or initiatives that they like to bring forward, they always discuss among each other as to what they want to do, pertain to work, pertain to things personally that needs to be done. However, I'm always open-minded for whatever ideas that they may have. And I'm always willing to listen, because at the end of the day, they make up the team, and there's no team without them. And I need to make sure that their ideas and everything are being catered for and are being listened to, because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that those things are addressed first before we can continue to enjoy our work day and stuff like that, and making sure that everyone is guaranteed for that.
Well, I just have one more question, and then I'll see if Jeremy has any. It's the question we ask everyone. But okay, the question of what advice you would give to an agent. But I want to put a particular spin on it, because I think being in the supervisor role, many people, aspire to that or join and want to take on that opportunity when it arises. What advice do you have for anyone who would like to take the next step and be a supervisor?
The advice is, I have a few, but if it's just one, is to always be there for your team. Listen to them, understand their concerns, and be a bit sympathetic towards where they're coming from, and not try to rush to judge or to think that it's the other way around, but try to be open-minded on their concerns. And when you are a leader in a supervisor role, they look up to you in a way that they're always going to ask you for assistance or for advice, life advices as well. So you're not only a supervisor to them, but you're also a role model if you have that kind of relationship with them in terms of professionalism and stuff like that. They will look up to you at the end of the day. So it's not only just being a supervisor managing a team, but they look up to you at the end of the day as well. So listen to your team, look at their concerns, know how they work, know your team from the ins and out, and you get the best out of them once you have that good working relationship.
So let me ask you this. What's your favorite part of your job? What do you enjoy most about your job, Edward?
I think it encompasses a lot of what we do on our end, which is networking. I think it's whereby we meet a lot of persons from outside the company, if it's from India, if it's from the US, Philippines and stuff, our different centers around the world, including Mexico as well. I get to meet a lot of people, and the networking is great. You get to branch out, you get to learn new different things, culture, different preferences on ideals on working environment and stuff like that, ideologies and how we do different things and stuff like that. It's really, really good meeting so many different people and learning about their backgrounds and stuff like that, from corporate to managers and stuff like that. It's really, really good. And I think that's one of the best things I like about being in this leadership position. The networking is very essential for where you want to nature out from, or which direction you want to go from there. But it's really nice to meet people from all walks of life.
Well, Edward, we want to thank you for coming on the podcast. And again, this is historical because you're our first supervisor to come on. So hopefully we'll have more, and you've paved the way for them. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeremy and Marcel. It's good hear from you guys. It's very nice. I'm hoping to meet you, Marcel. I know you did say that you wanted to visit Guyana soon.
I have to get there because I've been promised many many meals. So
many meals.
Well, that was fun, Jeremy. I didn't tell the story, but I was a horrible supervisor. Horrible supervisor. I think I was thinking back to it when preparing for this. So when I was a supervisor I just promoted straight off the floor. Straight off the floor. Next day I had a team. And I remember the ops manager, who is my boss, he was the worst. His leadership style, which he was the worst at the time. He might be wonderful today, but he was young. I was young, and it was very authoritative. Like it was total opposite of what Edward just kind of was talking about, like how he relates to his team. It was, you're not friends with them, to make a number. And, I was young, and that's what I thought the role was required, what was required of me to be in that role. And obviously, decades later, I think that was absolutely wrong. And I cringe. I literally feel shame when I think about how I behaved at the time. But I did not have the tools that we provide. I did not have Stairway or Leadership Academy or supervisor training. There's nothing like that. It was much more chaotic. So
yeah. And I think there's always a certain amount. I mean, at some point, no matter how much training you get, it still kind of becomes a sink or swim. I don't know how you get around that, because there's still that day when, okay, now I'm on my own and I'm leading my team. But I think what we are able to do here is provide a solid foundation, based on, and I was the same way. The first supervisor role I had, it was all of a sudden one day you're an agent and the next day you're managing agents, and there really was no training. And it's just like you said, it's like, okay, what do I do now? This guy was very authoritative. Maybe that's the approach I'm supposed to take. So yeah, it was.
I think back to it, and it was very much. It's by the grace of God that the next boss I had was Mike Morris, because he walked into that call center. I applied for a job, and from then on, I pretty much either worked for him or myself, or maybe other people, but with the company that he was running. And if he hadn't walked into that call center, and it changed my life. It changed the absolute direction of my life. And his leadership style, it was all, I would say what I felt in the beginning when I first, when he came on the scene for me, it was, he brought, I'm not going to say calm, but he brought order to the chaos. Not that it wasn't an authoritative style, but it wasn't that, like, he's always had the quality of just wanting to be the best for our clients, for customers, and employees under his leadership. So yeah, that's a tale there. The awful ops manager. I can't even tell you some of the stuff I remember, because honestly, I don't think some of that stuff is legal at this point.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I'm sure if we compared notes, we'd have similar stories of what we've seen happen over the years. And the good news is I don't see those things happening at Qualfon, which is great.
And I hope it's not happening at other companies either. I hope the role of an associate and agent is in and itself challenging position. And I'm grateful that, the industry and definitely Qualfon has changed. And we no longer just, I guess clipboards are no longer a thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I haven't seen clipboards in a while. I don't want you to feel, uncomfortable. But, I don't think they do clipboards anymore. So.
Well, thank you for another engaging episode of the Mission Qualfon podcast. Make sure, if you would like to learn more about our company, check out our website at qualfon.com, QUALFON.com, and make sure to subscribe at whatever platform you receive this podcast from. I believe we're on all major platforms at this point, Jeremy.
We're everywhere. Yeah. Well, thanks, Marisol. I'll see you next time.
Bye, Jeremy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Mission Qualfon. Remember, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Mission Qualfon.